What's up, guys? We are back again for another episode of the Drop the Gloves podcast, and this is a little special episode. This is going to be a Bruins Roundtable, so I have brought some friends with me. You all know Shannon from Slapshot Sweethearts. We had her on a previous episode, and this is a good friend of mine, John from Off the Wall Hockey. He is also a member of Bruins Nation. What's up, guys? What's up, John? What's up, Shannon?
Hey, not too much going on right now.
I was letting John go first, but
I was going to let you go first.
So I kind of brought up, I got a list of stuff that I kind of found interesting, but I want to get you guys' kind of first take. What do you think of the season so far for the kids, the era of the young kids? John, what do you, we'll let the ladies go first. So Shannon, what do you think?
well, I thought it was awesome until 2 games ago, and now John and I recorded an episode for Black and Gold, and we were all high on the young guys. Just sat there for like an hour and a half, boasting about how the future is bright, and then they lost 7-2 and 6-1.
Yeah.
So.
I'm still pretty high on him. I mean, anytime you have a lineup this young, and especially with major guys out like Krejci and Grzelcyk and Miller out with injuries, like there are going to be bumps in the road. Obviously, was not happy with Thursday and Friday. I mean, getting embarrassed 2 games in a row like that is never a good thing, and kind of always a wake up call. But at the same time, you almost have to expect that with such a young team, and I think they did kind of get that wake-up call, and we saw on Sunday them play almost a perfect Boston Bruins style game. Like Sunday's game was as good of a bounce-back performance as you could possibly have after the way that the last 2 before that went. And I thought the defense played significantly better. Rask was solid in goal. Obviously, they got goals from guys who they really needed to see chip in, like Charlie Coyle with a couple goals. He hasn't had a big year this year, so him getting on the board twice was important. Frederick got his 2nd goal of the year. It's nice to see someone from the bottom 6 contributing offensively. Like I'm still pretty confident that that they're in decent shape. Obviously, they had a rough couple of games, but in the long run, that's going to happen. And I think over the course of the season, you're still looking at a really good hockey team.
Absolutely. No, I think it's just the ebb and flow of the young team. That you're going to be playing at an elite level every single night, and you're going to see that talent drop. And it's like the injuries, I think, injuries being the way they are, they tend not to affect veteran guys. Veteran guys deal with it better, having to be transplanted on another line and, play with different players. I think it's just, you take Lazon out of the picture and you have to do some rearranging and some moving around, and it's going to affect, I think, the young kids more than the veterans are. But like you said, John, I agree. I think you're still looking at a very, very good hockey team. I think they just went out drinking with the Celtics, and the Celtics rubbed off on them a little bit. That's all.
Well, honestly, I hope the Bruins stay away from the Celtics because they've been very disappointing in my mind this year. But
that's okay. The stink rubbed off a little bit, and then they just got back to Bruins hockey, and now they're back to normal. But it's
Yeah, for sure.
Sunday was going to learn something from the Bruins then if they're going to learn
hopefully
turn around.
I still think we're looking at a really good hockey team. So let's talk about the latest kind of news that the Bruins take where they claim off waivers Jared Tenorti from the Predators.
Yeah, Nashville.
So I think that's they brought Tenorti in because I think Miller is I don't think we're getting 100% effort, not the effort. I think we're not getting 100% out of him because I think there's something wrong there, whether he's hurt or whether he's nursing something. We're just he's not playing as well as he was. So I think we talked about it off cam, John. I think that's a big reason to why they brought him on. But what do you think, Shannon?
Yeah, I don't know what John said offline, but we did have a really good discussion on this the other day about what Kevin Miller kind of means to the line right now. Just the way that Carlo and McAvoy have really stepped up, and the young guys have been, like I said, barring the 2 bad losses in the last week, they've been pretty consistent. So the need for Miller to really step up has not been as significant as we expected. And the fact that he's taking more injuries is worrisome looking ahead into, if he's actually going to make the same impact that we were expecting him to.
Definitely. I what do you got, John? What do you like?
I think this is a really bad sign for Kevin Miller. I think they're already talking. It's another knee problem for Miller. He's not progressing like they thought he was, and that worries me. I don't think you bring in a guy like Jared Tenorti unless you either Miller's going to be out for a significant amount of time or Miller might be out for good. Because Tenorti's a very similar type player. He's big. He is one big dude. He's always kind of been on that line of AHL, NHL. He's never really stuck at the NHL level, but he's a good depth piece, and he's a really physical, rugged defenseman. And the fact that they went out and brought him in, I really think shows that Miller is probably not going to be back anytime soon, if at all, because otherwise you didn't really have a need for him. Having Lauzon out as well, Lauzon's a pretty tough kid. I've seen him fight at the NHL level. I've seen him fight at the AHL level. He can throw. When you have him out of the lineup, and he has a hand injury, so when he comes back, he's probably not going to be at the same toughness level as he normally would be because you don't want to re-break a hand. So I think Tenorti coming in was pretty much just some depth toughness for that back end, because with Lauzon and Miller out, you really don't have that much on the back end.
Yeah, I think that on injury is really gonna. I think that's gonna. He brings him and Frederick kind of are the attitude. They're the attitude and the edge on the ice, and you take that attitude and edge off the ice, and I think you're going to start to see teams try and push them around a little more than they would. Because I think I think that Lauzon injury is definitely going to affect them in that aspect of their game.
Yeah, definitely. And Frederick is going to have to keep being the physical pain in the you-know-what that he's been all season. Richie, we saw him step up against Lemieux at the end of the game on Sunday. Richie's going to have to take on more of that role while hopefully still scoring goals like he has been. You're going to need to see. I think Carlo is a guy that's going to have to be physical on that back end. I mean, he's not exactly, the poster child of pure toughness, but he's a big guy. Like Carlo's a big kid, and
it's almost like he's afraid to throw. He's big enough to. He's got the size to, but I don't think he's.
I just don't think he has that much experience doing it. So he doesn't. He's fought Nazem Kadri, but I think, and he fought someone on Winnipeg last year. I forget who it was, but he doesn't fight a lot. But like with these guys out, he's going to have to step into that role. And I think that's part of becoming a leader. And we see him, he's been wearing the A on his chest for the past few games. I think part of being a leader is realizing like, hey, with these guys out, I'm going to have to maybe step out of my comfort zone a little bit. And I think that's, a growing process for a young player, but he's definitely going to do it. And he's going to have to on that back end, because without Miller, I mean, unless Tenorti gets into the lineup, they really don't have that on that defense right now. Yeah.
Now, Shannon, we talked about this on the episode that I had you on earlier, and it's still kind of an issue. Their 5-on-5 scoring's got to get better. It still has to. It's still.
I didn't know if you were going to say that or you were going to say Tuukka Rask. I was interested to see where you were going with that.
It's still a problem. Still, like their 5-on-5 has got to. If they're going to beat these teams like the Lightning, if they're going to beat these. Good teams beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Elite teams beat, if they're going to jump to that level, then that 5-on-5 scoring has got to get better. And it's still like, what was it? One of the Ranger games, they were like 1 for 6 or something on the power play. They were awful. It just looked sluggish and slow, and they couldn't get an open look to save their life. And that's, when they get their opportunities like that, they have got to, never mind the power play, but just they have got to get open looks. It seems like every 5-on-5, it's a ricochet. Why is every goal Nick Ritchie scores a ricochet off of someone's pad and he puts it back in that way? that was a problem at the start of the season, and it just seems like it's continued.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the other day I wasn't watching the game, and I saw a notification that said Charlie McAvoy slapshot goal, and I was like, what? Like, no, because they just don't score from like you said, that's not a messy chip in or like a ricochet or anything like that anymore. It's just, and they need to, but it's literally only just like deflections, chip ins, like lucky shots, lucky bounces. And like, thank God they're getting these lucky bounces, but they can't, go into the playoffs relying on that when there are so many teams that have got such explosive offenses right now.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this has been an issue with them for a while. They're very reliant on their top line, and they're very reliant on their power play. And that's been a reoccurring issue for this team. And I'll give Don Sweeney credit. They've tried to make moves to address that. I mean, even going back to the Charlie Coyle trade, that was a move for secondary scoring a couple of years ago. They made the Andre Kasha deal. They made the Nick Ritchie deal. I mean, Ritchie's actually been, for a guy that I was talking so much crap about before the season started, I have loved Nick Ritchie this season. So I've done a 180 on him. He's been great this year. But like, they've tried to make these moves. They've tried to bring these guys in. Obviously, Kasha with the concussion issues, that's not going well. But it's got to come from within. One thing I think that is going to make a big difference is they have Jack Studnicka playing center now, which is his natural position. Since he's come back up from Providence, they've had him down the middle since Krejci's been out. And Studnicka, to me, looked significantly better at center than he did at right wing. And I think they need to find a way to keep him at center. And the other guy is Jake DeBrusk, that they just need a heck of a lot more from. DeBrusk has not done anything
since coming back.
Really significant since coming back. And I mean, that's a guy that you're leaning on for secondary scoring. If you're looking at Bruins goal scorers outside of those top three guys that, run the show with Pastrnak, Bergeron, and Marchand, Jake DeBrusk is your next in line as far as goal scoring goes, and they are just not getting nearly enough from him. So he's got to get going. Studnicka hopefully will stay playing in center because I think he's a lot better there. And once they get some guys back, I think once Krejci comes back, that will hopefully help out the secondary scoring issue. But it's definitely been a problem, and they got to get going 5-on-5 too. You cannot rely on one line to play well in the NHL. You can squeak through the regular season with it sometimes, but once you get to playoffs, that's it. You got to have more than one line going.
The perfect example, like I was going to segue into the Studnicka move back to center because that's his natural position. That he played down in Providence and that he's comfortable with. He's comfortable in that spot. And hopefully that's going to kind of jumpstart the scoring and hopefully that'll help that 5-on-5. Hopefully, that'll, by putting him back in his natural position, that'll help the 5-on-5. And just like you said, when we get Krejci back, that'll also kind of, I think that's going to help too. But they can't be this reliant on that first, like Shannon, that's another thing we talked about in that first episode is they have got to find scoring from somewhere outside of that top line, or it's just the end result. Like you'll go through the regular season, but when you start playing teams that can, that have the
we're not durable. We're not durable enough for that. And if we lose any of them, we're going to have to disperse them throughout the rest of the offense because without the three of them on top, they're not as efficient. And as soon as we disperse them and Bruce Cassidy starts line tinkering, we're done.
Yep.
We're done. There's no consistency. And I saw a little bit of the movement they were doing the other day. And I mean, I guess it worked. We won. But like you said, it's building that consistency, and especially with young guys, trying new things here and there. It's not going to, you got to give them time to figure it out also. So I think it's trying to find that healthy balance. I know John and I spoke about that with Steel Flyers prior to Lake Tahoe because we were worried that the young guys were going to let all of that significant fanfare and those types of changes to just the literal game get to them. But obviously they didn't until the two games afterward. But,
Yeah, I've been looking for this tweet because this Boston Sports Info put this out a couple days ago, and I retweeted it on Twitter, and I could not believe the difference in how reliant Boston is on their top line. So since 2018-19 regular season, or in the regular season, when one of the top three guys, Bergeron, Marchand, or Pastrnak, scores a goal, Boston is 88, 24, and 17. When none of them score a goal, they are 16, 18, and 6. So they're an under 500 team when one of the top guys doesn't score, and they're like almost 75% wins when one of those top three guys do score. And in the playoffs, the difference is even bigger. They're 17 and 6 when Bergeron, Marchand, or Pastrnak scores a goal. They're only 3 and 8 in the playoffs when they don't. So that's just a really good statistical showing of how reliant this team is on that first line. And if they don't get offense from that first line, it's really hard for them to win games.
So do you think that adding another offensive weapon is going to, inhibit the reliance they have on that top line? Or is it still going to, I mean, I'm not confident that even adding another shooter.
I'm not either because they've done it. They've tried. They've added Richie. They've added Kasha. Kasha was supposed to be the second line guy, and he hasn't even been able to stay healthy. And when he did play,
Sweeney has added pieces to try and offset that reliance on that top line.
And it hasn't worked.
It's like a cultural thing at this point.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's almost like second nature for them to just do that, for them to depend on that top line. And they have, I don't care how they do it, they have to. The reason we lost that cup to the Blues was because of the depth. St. Louis just had depth than we did. They just had better depth than we did. The top lines matched up well, but anything side of that, and it was curtains. It was toast. St. Louis killed them with their depth.
Yeah, and now that Studnicka is looking good down the middle, when Krejci comes back, I want to see them try and play Coyle on Krejci's right wing. And leave Studnicka as a third line center. And I think that could end up being something that could potentially help. I mean, at least it's worth a look. I mean, Bruce has tinkered with the line so much already this year. You might as well try it.
Yeah.
But I feel like because when Krejci comes back, you don't want to move Stud back to the wing because I think he's looked a lot better down the middle. So if you leave Studnicka as your third line center, then that leaves Coyle kind of to play wherever. And I think him playing on Krejci's right wing could be a good spot for him. Maybe you can put DeBrusk on the left side and try and get DeBrusk going again. But I feel like
DeBrusk play with prior on the line when he was actually productive.
It was DeBrusk, Krejci, and Kasha to start. Then Kasha got hurt, so they put Smith up there. I think they've tried Bjork up there a couple times too. He does nothing.
Line is a problem. That fourth line is an issue. They can never figure out that line. They've moved that fourth line around so much that it's like.
Well, that's the thing. They're moving it around so much.
It's never the same.
I don't think this whole season it's been the same for 2 games in a row.
No,
probably not. No, I mean Frederick's going third line, fourth line, third line, fourth line. He's moving all around.
Wagner too.
Yeah, Wagner.
That doesn't help
got
either,
the wake up call.
I think they're moving it around so much because they don't have they literally don't have a choice. It's like they're Sweeney's, or I mean Cassidy's. So he's still trying to figure out who works best on the wing on that fourth line because he's switching them out every other game.
Well, and he got McKegg into the game on Sunday too, and that was his first game of the season. He had been on the taxi squad all year, so. And Kuhlman came into the game too. So Sunday's lineup was different because of how bad the last 2 before that was. Like Cassidy was pulling guys out and being like,
yeah, I mean, I think benching, although it annoys me, I think benching Wagner was more of a reality check than a skill level issue. He is the older guy and you don't want to just keep throwing, for lack of a better term, the Providence Bruins on the fourth line and see which one sticks. But I don't know.
Well, Wagner needed that wake up call because he had been awful for the few games before that.
Wagner has, and Wagner and
Corrali.
Yeah, they've gone to sleep as of late.
Yes.
The fourth line they were managing at the beginning of the season was the only one that could score 5-on-5, so they got comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And now that Pasternak's back, they're not doing anything.
Like that. They've disappeared. Ever since Pasta got back, they've disappeared. And it's like that third and fourth line have got to, even if it's like a goal every other game or a goal a game, like something, they have to start contributing something, because it's killing them. These guys, like, you're gonna burn out the top line by the time they get to the playoffs. They're gonna be burnt out. And they're gonna have nothing left.
Yeah, and I think this is where, like, Krejci being out really is a big issue, because it really shakes up, because then Coyle moves up into your top six. And then when Coyle's up in the top six, you literally have no real offense in the bottom six, unless Studnicka and his line get going, which Studnicka played a really good game on Sunday. And I thought McKegg made himself noticeable.
Coyle's playing so well on that second line that you don't want to, like, your immediate inclination is to not move him back when Krejci comes back.
Yeah, which I want them to keep him on the second line and move him to wing, and then let Studnicka still be the third line center. But that Corrali and Wagner, I don't expect a lot of offense from them, but what really has disappointed me is that they haven't been nearly physical enough. Like, if you're on the fourth line of the Boston Bruins, if you're not going to score goals, at least go out there and hit somebody. Like, make yourself noticeable in the game, and they've completely disappeared for like 2 weeks now.
That game that they lost 7-2, I counted 4 times that 2 each, Corrali and Wagner, literally got spun around, like spun in circles. They left as much as I'm not a Tuukka guy. They left him hanging out to dry 2 times each. Like, they got spun around, and it was bad. They were out of position, and you could see them just struggling to get. There are times where they just look like they're wearing cement shoes out there on the ice. They just look slow.
Yep. And when they're not going, their game really suffers, and that drags the whole line down, and that drags the whole lineup down, because if you don't have a good fourth line rolling that's at least contributing in some way to the game, I mean, that puts that much more pressure on all of your other lines, and it just drags everybody down.
No, yeah. So we touched on it a little bit. Let me ask you guys this, Shannon. Is the Charlie Coyle of last year back? Has he turned the corner finally? Are we going to see the Coyle of last year?
I really think this is the one time that Cassidy's line tinkering has worked thus far this season. Moving Coyle up has really done wonders to his productivity. And I think he just wasn't doing well with all of the movement that was happening in the bottom 2 lines. And his consistency and his skill level wasn't the issue. He's just not about to click like Brandon Carlo did with those young guys and easily become a consistent leader, the same way that Coyle needs to be that support offensive player. He's a skill player. He needs to be with other skilled players. He can't just, hop in with some of the younger guys and take off the same way that he did prior. So in short, yes, but I think only if he stays on that second line, like John said. So
you're saying that he has turned the corner, but they got to leave him where he's at, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think, John?
I completely agree. I don't think you're going to get the same level of production on the third line with Coyle than you would if you leave him up on the second line. I think you're going to see a much better player and a much more offensive contributor in Charlie Coyle if he plays in your top 6. If he plays on that third line, listen, when the team's fully healthy and that third line kind of is a scoring line, when they literally have a full lineup, then he can be a good he's always a good third line center, but he's not going to produce as much unless that third line is fully healthy. With guys out of the lineup and you've got, not great offensive weapons around Charlie Coyle, he's not a guy that's going to be able to completely provide offense by himself. So you need to put good players around him. And I think that's why he's been so much better up playing with Ritchie and Smith on the second line than he was doing earlier in the season when he was on the third line and just didn't have those guys around him that he needed to.
Yeah, no, 100%. Coyle needs to stay where he's at. They have him with a group of skilled guys that can skate and that Coyle does. It seems like to me, I don't know how you guys feel, but the faster Coyle likes a faster pace game.
Mm-hmm.
And those bottom two lines are just, they're like sundial speed compared to the top two. And he needs to be up where he can skate, where he can use, just a faster pace. I think he does a lot better in a faster pace style play. And the bottom, that third line, and that he doesn't fit well on those lower lines.
Well, I agree. So let me ask both of you this, and I'm probably going to get absolutely shredded for even bringing this up, but what if when David Krejci comes back, he's your third line center rather than your second line center? Because Krejci plays a slower game to begin with. Like he's not a fast up and down player. Like he wants to play a puck control, slowed down, puck possession in the offensive zone style of game. And he's great defensively as well. David Krejci, obviously, because Patrice Bergeron's been a Selke guy his entire career, Krejci has never gotten the attention for his defensive play as he should have, because he's a tremendous defensive center as well. So Krejci could be your third line center, play well defensively, and play a more slowed down style of game. And you leave Coyle up on the second line and let him play that fast up and down pace that he wants to. And I don't think that would necessarily hurt the team, where, obviously saying Krejci as a third line center would be kind of shocking just when you look at it. But when you actually look into it, I think that could almost fit Krejci's style more. And you could put some guys around him who can also play that puck possession game.
I don't hate that take.
No,
I mean, my initial thought, I said it on our last show with Steel Flyers, that I've never been wowed by Krejci's, Krejci as a skill player or like an offensive player for productivity. So I don't hate that at all, because he can fulfill that leadership gap that the lower lines are in need of right now. And like I said, Charlie Coyle's not going to fill that role. Charlie Coyle's he is young. We can't expect all the young guys that have been on the roster for more than 2 years to just step up and magically become Charas. Like, it's not going to happen. So I don't hate that at all. But again, we probably are in the minority.
Yeah.
I would rather take a talented veteran from the top two, like Krejci, and I would take Krejci and put him down. I wouldn't hate that take. I would put Krejci on the third line and be completely fine with it.
None from the top line, though. My absolute pet peeve is when they break up the top line when we're losing a game.
No. I'm saying, but I'm saying spread talent, through the lines. Don't put it heavy one direct. I would rather, like you, John. I agree. I would put him down there on the third line. And just that way you have a guy down there who can be the general on the ice, because they need a guy like that down on those lines. I wouldn't hate that take, but like Shannon said, we're probably in the minority.
Yeah, the only thing with that what would you do with Studnicka if you keep Coyle and Krejci comes back as a center? Then what do you do? Yeah, again, I don't want to move Stud back to the wing, because I think he's looked significantly better down the middle.
And he can't go to the fourth line. He hasn't figured out the fourth line to begin with. I'm
not a Krejci guy either, so I've never been a true believer in his game.
No, because when he played, back in the day when the Bruins were McQuaid, Lucic, Krejci, all those guys, I didn't like McQuaid either. Bless him, he just joined the Bruins alumni, but I didn't like McQuaid either. I was never wowed with Krejci. I thought he was way older than he is, just because he's been with them for so long. And I looked up his age the other day and was surprised that he's right around Bergeron. But
isn't he 30? He's 34, right? 32.
Yeah, he's 35.
I think Krejci was drafted the year after Bergeron,
which is insane to me. In my head, he's 4 years older.
Well, he came into the league 4 years after because Bergeron was drafted and played right away. He played right away in Boston, whereas Krejci took some time to develop. He played in Providence for a couple years, and it was 2008, I want to say, when Krejci came up to the NHL full time, somewhere around there. So he seems like he would be, it seems like he wouldn't be, or that he's been around that, that he would be. What am I trying to say here? A little bit younger than Bergeron, but he's right around the same age as Bergie.
So let me ask you guys this. Are you buying or are you selling Vaakanainen and getting more playing time? He's another one that's been very either
He has really good games and really bad games.
Really bad games. But is that from just not getting enough playing time, or is that from?
I think it's just being a kid. Like he's what, like 21, I think, or 22, something like that.
I think, yeah. What do you, Shannon? What do you think?
So also shout out Megan entered the chat, so thank you, Megan, for hopping onto our YouTube. But
Legend.
I was gonna say I was talking to John about this as well on Black and Gold, that our second episode was with Dale Arnold, and it was previewing the Bruins season. And Dale was saying that he thought the prospect with the highest up value was Vakanainen, and he said he was hoping that he was going to make the roster, that there was a lot of potential there, even though he is incredibly young. He got put on the taxi squad like 2 days after I posted that episode, but then I was excited to see that he was filling that role next to McAvoy for the next month or so until injuries balance out again, because I thought that McAvoy would really have a good effect on him. And although he's young, he's only played like 3 or 4 games at 20 minutes a game. Like he's subbed in here and there, but I mean, I don't know that it's like fair.
Significant matter. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's 22 years old and he's only played 11 NHL games. So I think, you're going to get inconsistency with a player like that. And it's just part of it. Like a 22-year-old's not going to just jump into the lineup and be a top pair guy right away on a consistent basis. But the kid's got a lot of upside. I think we've seen that in the games that he's played. Like he can move the puck. He's a good skater. I still think he has some learning to do as far as the defensive side of things goes. But overall,
he's underrated. I'll admit that I didn't think he was that fast on the ice. He's quick. He's quick.
Yeah, no, he can skate. He's got some wheels. And I think, long term, he's a good prospect for the Bruins. I just think he needs some more experience and he'll get better as the season goes along.
Yeah, I mean, there's some comments saying that he's got more upside than John Moore. I know that.
Oh, definitely.
I would take Vakanainen. I would take the young kid Vakanainen over Moore. I would.
Oh, yeah.
Any day of the week. I don't. There's something wrong with Moore, whether it's physically, mentally, something is not right with him.
He's just a mediocre defenseman, and he has been his whole career. I have no idea why we gave him a 5-year contract. I mean, everywhere this
I don't know what we're still we're not holding on to him for any more development potential.
No, he's been Columbus, New York, New Jersey. I don't remember where else. He's played for a bunch of different teams, and he's been a mediocre defenseman his entire career. And I don't know why people were almost expecting him to be more than that with Boston. But he's a fine guy to have on either the bottom pair or number 7, like a depth piece. But he's not going to come in and be a top 4 guy. He's never been that at all at any point in his NHL career.
And I think especially because we have so many young guys that we do need. So these are opposite takes. On the offense, I want them to stop screwing with that bottom line and leave it alone. But on defense, I don't think that you should keep Moore in there if we have that many blue line young guys that we need to figure out who's working and who's not working.
And I think Vakanainen's offensive ceiling far outweighs what Moore could give them offensively from a
speed alone.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
That's what I mean. So it's
double.
I would easily take Vac over Moore.
Absolutely. Vakanainen's got the potential, obviously not right now, but give him a couple years of experience and get him up to 25 years old. He could be a 35, 40 point defenseman.
Easily.
John Moore is going to give you 20 points max, and that's if he plays a full season. And I don't think that, he's probably going to be a healthy scratch a decent amount of time.
And how many goals he's giving up to get to the 20.
Yeah. No, I am not on the John Moore train.
So here's my next question for you guys. Should they move? I'll start with you, Shan. Should they move DeBrusk out of his spot? Because once again, he's in since coming back. I don't know if he came back too soon or what the reasoning. He just looks slow and just something just doesn't seem right with him. Should they move him, or is this just keep plugging away and just let him get his groove?
If they're going to make a trade, I want them to throw him in there. I don't think he's worth keeping on the roster at the moment. Because he's been on the roster long enough. Unless they're just healthy scratching him, there's no reason to, they can't, I don't know. It's like, what else are you going to do with him? And he's so young that it's hard to just scratch him and say like, no, you've had your shot. So like we were talking about offline, if they're going to add a second player to a large trade, or they're going to try to get some value left to really make a run for it, I'd like them to throw him in there.
What do you think, John?
I mean, I've been a big DeBrusk guy for years now, and I am losing my patience.
Fired. We're going to throw you off here.
I am losing my patience with Jake DeBrusk at this point. I mean, they have nowhere else to put him in the lineup. They've tried him on 3 out of the 4 lines already. They tried him on the right side with Marchand and Pastrnak, or Marchand and Bergeron before Pasta came back. He didn't do much up there. He's been on the second line for most of his career, and he hasn't, done anything this year there. He's now on the third line with Studnicka and Bjork, and you're not getting anything out of him there. Like, they've put him everywhere they could possibly put him, and it doesn't seem to be changing anything. I don't know if you're Cassidy, what you do at this point. I mean, you've tried him on 3 different lines now. I'm losing my patience with Jake DeBrusk. And the sad thing is the potential is there. Like, the kid can score. He's shown it. He's had a 25-goal season in the NHL, but he's so inconsistent, and it seems like his confidence has just absolutely been destroyed. And last year was a terrible year. This year is going even worse so far. So I think if you do make a move, if you're getting close to the trade deadline and this team's looking to make a move before the deadline, I think DeBrusk is one of those guys that is probably on the side of the Bruins going out in whatever trade they make.
God, his stats are awful. I just looked them up. That's horrible. 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points, and -3 in 14 games.
Yeah,
from 25-point season.
He has done nothing. He has given them next to nothing this year. It's been bad. Now, the same could also be said for Kasha. He's kind of disappeared as of late too. Like
he's been injured almost the whole season.
No, I know and I was just getting to that. And if he's on the ice and he's healthy, it doesn't seem like he's giving him anything. But the problem with him this year has been staying on the ice. It's always been some nagging injury that's kept him out. And is that worth investing over again, or?
No, his contract's up at the end of this year, and I don't think he's going to be back.
What do you think? You think they'll move him, Shannon, or do you think they'll?
I mean, the problem is I don't want them to make. I don't remember which Bruin show I was talking about this on, but I don't want them to make another one of those mediocre trades that doesn't. It's just swap for swap. It doesn't actually impact them in any way, and it's mostly a chemistry thing. And if they are going to trade DeBrusk, they have to add someone that has a better upside, since he hasn't been doing anything and he is a risk for a team to take on. And so I think if they're just adding Kasha or adding somebody else that hasn't really proven themselves, they're going to get another average player in return that we're just going to be gambling ourselves on. And it's not really going to make a splash the same way that, like we were talking about offline, moving ourselves from a good team to an elite team. That's really what we need to be focusing on right now. And if they're just, swapping mediocre for mediocre or risk for risk, it's not going to do anything for them.
Yeah, they'll stay right where they're at.
Yeah. I don't even think Kosh is tradable at this point, honestly. I think his contract just comes up at the end of the year and he's gone.
And they let him walk.
Yeah. I don't think he's even tradable because he's 25 now. He has good offensive potential, but he's had like 3 concussions already in his career. Mm-hmm. At 25 years old, he's already missing significant time with brain, head issues. Like, that's a big problem. He had a 20-goal season for the Anaheim Ducks back in 2017-18, and that's when everybody saw what Andre Kasha could be and the potential that was there. Mm-hmm. Since then, the next season, he only played 30 games, missed a bunch of time with injury. The year after that, he only played 55 games. That was split between the Ducks and the Bruins, and he only scored 7 goals. And this year, he's only played 2 games for Boston, had no points, and was concussed again, and that was it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's the Bruins. Bad contracts have sunk them for the last God knows how many years. They sign these guys and they have all these hopes, the hopes and the potentials there, and it just seems like sometimes it just. They get sunk with this stuff, and they have to just deal. They've been dealing with like Krejci's one of them. That contract that he's had, and I don't know. I've never been in agreement with any of the deals that they signed with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of those that the Bruins invested in to keep, which I completely appreciate that effort if it's someone that's really going to consistently carry your team over the hill, which Krejci has done from a leadership perspective, but he's just been, that second line center for however many years now. Again, I'm not a Krejci gal, so tear me apart if you want, but like, he's never wowed me. He's never really earned his money in the way that I've thought of him as someone who's aging for like almost a decade now. Like, I always thought he was like getting too old to play for literally years because he's just, a little bit below what he should be doing all the time.
Yeah, just that consistent underachievement. That's how I've looked at him for years now. For years. What do you think there, John? Are you going to hop on the not a Krejci bandwagon?
Well, no, I do. I've always kind of I liked Krejci always as a second line center. I think he's kind of fallen under the radar a little bit. 'Cause the thing with Krejci is he has some really good years, and then he has some really quiet years where you don't notice him at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so far this year, before he got hurt, was kind of being a quiet year, but he had 10 assists in 15 games. Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, he very quietly puts up points. He had multiple 60-plus point seasons. He's had a couple of 73-point seasons, and he's very good defensively. I always have felt like Krejci has never gotten the due for his defensive play, because Bergeron's taken a lot of that limelight, being the greatest two-way forward, I think, maybe ever in NHL history.
Bergie's good. He's very good on both ends of the ice.
Oh yeah, he's definitely the best defensive forward, two-way guy of this generation, maybe ever. But Krejci's always been good in the playoffs where the Bruins have gone deep. Krejci's played really well. In the playoffs where the Bruins haven't gone deep, Krejci's been a no-show. Like, he's an important part of the team, but he's very inconsistent, and I think that's been
either. He is never healthy when they get to the playoffs.
That's another issue. Is he's been hurt a lot.
Yeah. And it kind of, especially this season, it's only a 56-game season. So part of me is hopeful that the Bruins' durability issues aren't going to be as significant, but they're just relying on that same like 5 or 6 people the entire time that they're going
to carry them to a cup. And it's like, I don't know if they can do that, especially now with the way teams like Tampa is a freaking buzzsaw. That team is the Lightning are ridiculous.
Yeah.
The way they play. They're another one. Vegas is big, fast, physical. They can shoot.
Yeah.
They beat teams into submission. That's how they win. The Blue Jackets are the same way. Big, fast, physical, beat you into the Columbus Blue Jackets did to us in that cup run what we did to the Canucks back, when we won in 2011. They just beat them they literally beat the Bruins into submission.
That's what the Blues did in the finals. And that's,
that's what I mean. They did it to us, and then they did it right on to their Hulk. They had the Bruins style of, they just beat, that 2011 cup run for Boston was they just literally just beat teams into submission.
Yeah,
nobody wanted to go out on the ice in the third period against them because they were just getting beat up.
Yeah. And the Blues took that blueprint and used it against Boston in 2019 and beat us at our own game. Mm-hmm. And that's what always frustrated me about that 2019 series was that Boston literally got beat at their own game. Mm-hmm. And there are plenty of teams like Washington scares me. The Islanders scare me in the East because those two teams can play that exact style and beat the Bruins at their own game. And then
the Islanders scare the crap out of me.
If we play the Islanders in the playoffs, I don't think Boston's winning that series.
I know Boston's not winning that series.
No,
Boston's not winning that series.
There's no way. They would be able to hang with them for maybe 2 games, 3 games at the most.
Yeah, I'd say that Islanders in 6 would be my prediction for that series.
They don't have the Bruins just as they sit right now to play these big physical teams. They don't have They don't have the stamina to stand toe to toe with them for 3 periods. You've seen it. Look at the way the Islanders beat them. I mean, the Rangers beat them up. Like by the last 8 minutes of the third period, they're gassed. They're chasing the puck. They're chasing all over the ice. There's no Bruins play a very calculated game. Calculated mid-level, mid-speed game. It's not real fast. It's not, real sluggish and slow, but it's mid-level and it's calculated, risk and reward. They're not like big, they're not like big risk it, they don't take big risks. It's very calculated on offense and defense. And if they don't have the stamina to play with some of these teams as they sit, they just get beat up and they get wore out. They get wore out. Like the game they got beat 7-2, they came out and in the last 10 minutes of that third period, they were done. I could tell they were cooked. They were cooked. The line changes seemed like they were going every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Just to get guys a breather. It seemed like every 10 seconds there was a line change.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning as kind of the perfect blueprint of how to build an NHL team, and you look at who they have in their bottom 6 versus who they have in their top 6. Their top 6 is elite, highly skilled scoring forwards who are going to put up tons of points and goals, and then their bottom 6 are just beat you up, drag it out, like smash you in the corner. Pat Maroon, Blake Coleman, who can also score, Yanni Gord, who can also score, Barclay Goodrow's like that. The Tampa Bay Lightning are built to be able to beat you in every single way, every single facet of the game. You want to fight it out, Tampa Bay will do it. You want to skate up and down the ice, Tampa will do it. You want to play slow puck possession, Tampa will do it. Like, they can do any style of hockey, and I think Washington, to a lesser extent, not as well, but they're built in the same style as the Lightning in that, with Tom Wilson, Brendan Dillon, Zdeno Chara. They got all the physicality, Garnet Hathaway, but they got the top end scoring with Oshie and Verana and Ovechkin and Kuznetsov and Backstrom and those guys too. So
Kuznetsov is a dude who, I think he gets lost in the shuffle a lot. That dude, he is underratedly good. He's very good.
Yeah, he's a great player. And I think Nicholas Backstrom has been an underrated player his entire career. Like, this guy is one of the all-time great setup men in the modern era of the NHL, and no one really talks about him that much. Obviously, Ovechkin, I think, is the greatest goal scorer of all time. And if he had played back in the same era as guys like Gretzky and Lemieux, Ovechkin would probably have more goals than all of them. But he gets so much attention that the other guys kind of fly under the radar. And Backstrom and Kuznetsov, I think, are both guys that very much fly under the radar in Washington.
I mean, you can even say that about TJ Oshie. He left St. Louis and he was the go-to guy for St. Louis. He was the go-to guy for Team USA. Yep. And then he went to the Capitals and played behind Ovechkin. And now he gets not no attention, but not nearly as much as he got prior, just because he's playing behind Ovi and he's playing behind, that top line. So
Ovi is still playing at a stupid high level. It's like,
but the players around him are old, so he's not going to reach Gretzky's record like it was debated.
I don't think he's going to get there. I think he's going to get close. He's definitely going to get 800.
He'll get close. But I don't think
he's going to get there. These shortened seasons the past 2 years have really pretty much put an end to really his chances of doing that.
He is stupid good, though.
Oh, yeah.
The guy is just stupid good.
His shot is ridiculous. It's that Russian gas. I don't know. It's that Russian gas. His body, he's never hurt.
You know what it is? Those guys from the comm block can just play hockey, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys that come from the comm block countries, they can just play hockey.
And they're built like machines. Like, I don't know what physical training he did growing up, but he's literally built like a machine. He's never hurt. He's never tired. It's just like go, go, go all the time.
They have a T1000 assembly line out there. Seriously. But so let's talk. So if we had to take a look, let's take a look at the Bruins. So what are you guys John, we'll start with you. what are the biggest strengths and weaknesses of this team going forward and going forward?
Biggest strength is special teams. They've got one of the best penalty kills and one of the best power plays in the league. I actually just did a video today about the top special teams in the league, and Boston is second in the league in total special teams, behind only the Tampa Bay Lightning. So their special teams are a huge help for this team. They can score on the power play. They kill off almost 90% of the penalties that they take, which is incredibly good. That's definitely their biggest strength. And then obviously their top line. I mean, you have the best single line in the NHL with Pasta, Bergeron, and Marchand. So those are definitely two big strengths. Their biggest weaknesses, I think, one obviously is secondary scoring. They have got to get more from guys not named Pastrnak, Bergeron, or Marchand, and their youth. I think, especially come playoff time and when the game gets more physical, and, everyone's skating a little bit harder. Everyone's finishing every check a little bit harder. And you get into that playoff style hockey. I worry about the young defensemen when they're literally not going to have time to even think before making a play. And somebody is going to be bashing them through the end boards, like as soon as they touch the puck. Because playoff hockey is a whole different ball game than the regular season. And I worry about that young D when it gets to that level of intensity and aggression that we see in the playoffs.
And I feel like a lot of the defense in playoff hockey, they're up on you. They don't give you any breathing room in the playoffs.
No, as soon as you touch the puck, they're all over you, and you're getting slammed through the boards.
Give you your space here in the regular season. They give you your space. They'll let you come up. They'll let you come up to the top of the circle before they come up and hit you. But they're in the playoffs. They're right there with you as you get the puck from behind your net. As you take the puck out from behind the net, they're there. They're right in your face, right there. What do you think, Shan?
Yeah, I was going to say the top line was my first one. I mean, we can say how they have a lack of depth on offense for days, but they still have the best line in the league. So that's obviously got to be a plus. And I think that the way that the young guys, I don't even know how to tier them, the younger guys that have stepped up to really take on that leadership role after Krug and Chara left is a huge benefit to them. I think that at least me personally, thought that there was a lot of games we were just going to drop because we weren't going to have that consistency in leadership. And that has really not been as much of a risk, especially with Carlos stepping up. I wasn't expecting that at all. So I think that is definitely a really big strength. In terms of risk, obviously the youth, and then our inability to beat the teams that we're supposed to beat. Like we were saying before we went live, I'm looking at the schedule and we play the Caps the next 2 days, which is, I guess, fine. But then we play the Devils, we play the Islanders and the Rangers again. And that's just not good. That's just not good for anyone. We did not play well against the Islanders. We never play well against the Islanders. And we did not play well against the Rangers. And for some reason, the Devils keep giving us problems this year. So, I mean, that is a whole week of just risk right there.
And the funny part is this team on paper should crush the Devils. They should crush New Jersey. That should be a 4-1 win every game we play them.
Yep.
3-1, 4-1 win every game we play them. And for some reason, the freaking Devils they find ways to stay in the game. You know what I mean?
They just did it against the Capitals too, so I don't even know if it's a Bruins problem.
What was that, Jim?
I said the Devils just did that against the Capitals too, so I don't even know if it's a Bruins problem. I think the Devils are just playing really well they're doing the same thing that the Bruins are doing and playing really well against the good teams and playing horrible against the bad teams.
I am a Jack Hughes fan though.
Oh, I love Jack. Kid's great.
I am a Jack Hughes fan.
Oh, the Bruins are kind of pulling a Pittsburgh Steelers and where they're playing down to competition. And that's been an issue with them over the past few years where they'll go into a really difficult game and they'll play well and they'll, squeak out a win and it'll be like, wow, they just beat a really good team. And then they'll go into a game against a lousy bottom feeder and they'll just not even show up. And they play down to competition.
Like they get shut out by the Sabres or something.
Yeah, honestly, I'm scared. I'm
After
scared
they beat
we
the
haven't
Lightning in overtime, they'll get shut out by the Sabres or something.
exactly.
Yeah.
We haven't played Buffalo yet. I'm scared about what's going to happen when we play Buffalo because
They're going to
Buffalo is
show up in those
horrible.
nice reverse retros and crush us.
Buffalo is horrible this season, and I feel like we're going to lose like 4-2 against a terrible Sabres team.
But we said it earlier that again, just it's the ebb and flow of just the inexperience and the see. Now, what I'm hoping for is that these guys just are full of pea and vinegar in the playoffs, and the limelights just don't affect them. That's what I'm crossing my fingers and hoping for, you know. But taking a young team like this into the playoffs is definitely a concern. Because you're going to be playing teams like the Capitals. You're going to be playing teams like the Lightning. You're going to be playing teams like the Blue Jackets. All these, like Vegas, you know, you're going to have to face teams like that are full of vets that know how to deal with that and that have been there over and over and over again. And that playoff hockey, the lights are brighter, the pressure is cranked up tenfold. You make a mistake in a game and you could lose the game because you made that one mistake.
Yep, absolutely. Playoff hockey is a whole other like it. I don't even know. I get so excited for the playoffs because I really don't even know how to describe it. It's like it's literally like it's from another planet. Like it takes regular NHL hockey and then like adds 1,000 to everything, the intensity, the aggression, the pressure, the speed, just everything just cranks up by 1,000. And going into the playoffs with a young team is a really scary thing because you have no idea how those young players are going to react to being thrown into that kind of situation where they've probably played playoffs in juniors, they've played playoffs in college, wherever they were before the pros. They played maybe playoffs in the AHL. But there is nothing like playing a playoff hockey game in the NHL. And it really, young guys can go one of two ways. They can either completely kind of crap their pants and completely crumble under the pressure. Or
AKA Tuukka Rask in 2013.
yes. Or
Sorry
they
to bring
can.
That up. I just had to poke my point across there.
They can rise up and really feed off of that energy and that intensity, and it makes them an even better player. And it's going to be really interesting to see what Boston does this year because I think there's no doubt they're a playoff team. Like they're going to be going to the playoffs. The issue here is how deep can they go? The question is how deep can they go?
I saw a tweet earlier today from one of the Bruins podcasts. I think that's on the Black and Gold Network, and they were asking how far do you think the Bruins can go? You know, first, second, third, or make a cup run. And I commented and was like, I mean, they can make a cup run, but they have to make it past the first round because the first round is the divisional round. And if they're playing the teams that they've been playing in the division, they've got a lot of weak points. They cannot beat the Islanders for whatever reason. They can't beat the Devils, who are my sleeper to take the 4th seed. And they can't beat I'm scared, like we said, to play the Sabres. I mean, they're streaky against the Capitals. The only ones I'm comfortable with are the Flyers and the Penguins. Like
the Islanders absolutely scare the crap out of me. If they have to play, if they get stuck with them in the first, if they get stuck with them in the first round, that's going to be a battle to get through that series. The Islanders. They just don't match up well against them at all. They're a horrid matchup.
Yep.
Especially if they keep doing this, hopefully the consistency levels off. But if they keep going with this up down play, they're probably going to end up with somebody like the Islanders.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they lost the top seed to the Capitals until I just looked at the standings.
Yep.
Which is not good at all because the Flyers have been playing streaky as well. So then all 4 of those below are just completely up for grabs.
Yeah. That's what I mean. If they have got to right the ship and get the consistency back and get back into that top spot. Because if they drop to the 2 or 3 and they got to play the Islanders or the Devils or something, and the Devils get hot at the right time, or the Islanders just play them well anyway. So it's like the matchups that they could run into if they hit that inconsistency little skid, because every season the Bruins seem to hit that 2-week, that little 10-day span where they just.
I hope we're in it now. I hope they get these bad losses out of the way this week and we just get over it and we can figure it out. They've already taken 2. Take
what I mean? Every season for like the last 5 years, they've hit that little week-long or 10-day span where they just lose their minds and they win like 4 out of 10, you know?
Yep. I'm really hoping we're getting the injuries out of the way right now and that we're getting the bad losses out of the way right now because we definitely can't afford them later in the year.
Yeah. No, yeah, I would rather take the injuries now and have everybody 100% and roll into the playoffs with a healthy squad. I would rather deal with the up and down and even take a 2 seed, but we're going healthy into that playoffs with the 2. Let's say Washington does, keep the 1. Let's say the Caps do keep the 1. As long as we get a healthy squad, I'm going to be confident in them playing well. The plan, here's Cassidy's plan. Avoid the Lightning at all costs.
Well, yeah, lucky for us this year, we won't have to face the Lightning until the Final Four, possibly. But I do not want to see Tampa Bay again. That would not end well for the Bruins. We're not winning a playoff series against Tampa Bay unless they have like significant injury problems or something.
Are we winning one against the Maple Leafs?
Oh, I think we'd beat Toronto. We own the Maple Leafs.
I think we'll beat the Leafs.
I'm not sure.
I've kind of thought of the Leafs as that team where like they make a lot of noise, but when it really matters, they just always tend to come up short.
Yeah, the Leafs got to worry about getting out of that North Division before they can worry about seeing the Bruins. So, I don't even trust the Leafs to win the first round, even if they're the 1 seed, which they're probably going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that 4 up north, whether it's like Winnipeg or Calgary or someone like that, maybe the Canadians. I don't trust the Leafs at all in the playoffs until the Leafs give me a reason to trust them in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm never gonna hop on that Leafs bandwagon until they at least win a series.
If the Canadians beat them in the first round and we have a chance to face the Canadians in the playoffs, that'll be fantastic. But
I think we'd definitely beat the Canadians.
So I think. I hope that happens just so we can play the Habs because I miss not yelling at my TV about the Habs. that needs to happen. I hate the Habs so much. I hate that team.
That could be a Stanley Cup final matchup this year with the way that the format is, because the first 2 rounds are within division to win the division, basically, and then
it's the first 2 in your division.
Yeah, 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3.
Yeah, we're never making it out of there.
And then the winners from each of the first 2 rounds play to basically win the division.
Round robin style, right?
Yeah, it's round robin.
Well, we talked about it briefly on my show, but it doesn't make sense because obviously the East Division is significantly more competitive than the Central Division. So the Lightning are just going to coast right out of the Central Division.
Oh yeah, they'll win.
I don't know. Carolina could give the Lightning a run there.
If Carolina gets hot, though, if they get hot at the right time, they could.
Well, they're all in the standings right now. They're all stacked on.
The Panthers are the ones that could give.
Yeah, Florida's already beat the Lightning twice this year.
Good. I hate the Lightning too. Get that team out of it. That's another thing that really irked me about that run, John. When that run was, but like they had that set up perfectly to go to the Cup that year. Tampa was out of their way.
Washington was out of their way.
The 2 teams that could give them the biggest issues were out of their way. They didn't have to play them. Yep. They got beat already.
Yep.
That's what really the Blues, right? The Blues weren't even a competitive matchup. We went in there and we were like, well, me as a fan and my friends who are fans were all like, oh, they're not like they had a losing record halfway through the season.
Well, that was the year that St. Louis was terrible for the first half and then had the ridiculous second half of the season and then just ripped through the playoffs. I mean, that people ask me like, what's my least or what got me the most mad ever at the Bruins, or what was the worst Bruins game, or what was the worst? It was 2019. Yeah. Everything that happened in 2019, because the Bruins should have won that cup.
Standing at a bar in the rain at Game 7, watching them shit themselves. And
it was set up perfectly for them. It was literally set up perfectly for them. They got rid of Washington and they got rid of Tampa Bay, the 2 teams that could actually beat them, that could square up and beat them. And they crapped the bed. I was heated after they lost that series. I was
still to this day, that's the maddest I've ever been at the Bruins. Was that 2019 Game 7, just blowing that against St. Louis. They should have won that cup.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Tuukka Rask again. Boo-hoo, Tuukka crew. Get ready to be on.
I am going to rip on Marchand for that, though, because him going for a line change with 7 seconds left in the first period and costing the Bruins that second St. Louis goal, that pisses me off to this day.
Uh-huh.
Who changes lines with 7 seconds left? Finish the damn period at 7 seconds.
I know. Although I do love me some Brad Marchand, though.
Oh, I love Marshy, but that makes me so mad because that was such a bad mental mistake at the biggest point in the season.
Outside of Chara, right? He was probably my second favorite Bruin. Like, I just love the rat mentality. I love that look. The dude just because I mean, I'm kind of a prick too, so I think we're on the same level. So I love it. I love the little just the grit and the just the attitude on the ice. Just the guy will go into a corner knowing that he's going to get crushed to dig a puck out to make a good pass up the ice. Yeah. He's that guy.
Playing that way is so much fun too.
Knowing that he's going to get crushed, he'll still go into the corner and get the puck and deliver the pass.
Oh yeah.
Even though he's going to take a massive hit. And teams hate him too. I love it too. They can't stand him when they play him.
Yeah, it's perfect. I'm a huge.
We play the Capitals the next 2 games, and he plays awesome against the Capitals because they've got Tom Wilson and they just go at each other the entire time.
I love it. Like I said, I think me and him are just on the same wavelength when it comes to pissing people off. But they can. So let's end it. Let's kind of end it out with this. I personally think they can make a run at it. I think even though with the young kids, if they get everybody healthy back, and the kids continue to develop the way so the biggest issues that I can see is that Lauzon needs to be more physical. Well, Lauzon needs to be more physical on the puck. He tends to be a little soft at times, and I think that gets him into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
I think he needs to be a little more physical. He's big enough to play more physical than he does.
He's played timid at times, which hurts his game because he needs to be hard on the puck all the time.
That's what I mean. He does. I think that, and if we can get him to play more physical, that'll be good. And just they have got to find some way, even if it's a goal every other game, just some way of getting something out of that third and those bottom 2 lines have got to get going. They have got to get going. We can't burn the top line out heading into even though it's a shortened season, we can't continue to go. But if we can get, I mean, I've seen the third and fourth line get hot before.
Yeah, they can be really good.
I've seen them go on streaks where it's where you just shake your head at the production that you're getting out of them. And if they can get one of those type of runs going, I really do think they got a shot at least getting to the cup. Maybe I don't know about winning it, but they have a shot to at least get to the dance.
Yep.
What do you think, Shannon?
No, I agree. And I think the thing I harp on the most, just the mental focus, both of the young guys and of Rask is really significant going forward, especially as we play these softer teams that we should be beating. We can't take as many losses as I am thinking we're probably going to take for the next week or so. And, you were completely right with everything else. I mean, as long as everyone's able to stay focused and we're not relying on that top line too much and the durability stays there, especially as we hit the middle of the season, I think we should be okay.
Boo-hoo, Tuukka crew, report to the chat. Shannon's bashing Rask.
Oh,
don't worry. I'm right there with you. When Tuukka, he aggravates. He makes me want to throw my remote through my TV sometimes. He really, because he can have. There are games where he's just phenomenal. Like you get vintage Tuukka Rask, where the dude just stands on his head for 36 saves, and he shuts a team like the Capitals out. Yep. And then they'll play a team you name it, like the Sabres or some bottom feeder of a team, and he gets 5-holed twice. Just soft dribblers, and he just gets literally. Those are the games where I just want to throw my remote through my TV and just Like I want to just go to the games live, and it's awesome that we can finally go back to the Garden now as of March 22nd.
Yep.
Because like I just want to sometimes just yoke him out for just being the way he is. But he's still a phenomenal. Taking all that into context, he still is a phenomenal. When he's standing on his head and playing the way we know, like the way that he's supposed to play, and he has the potential. He's untouchable. When he's on like that and he's in his zone, he's top 3 in the league. The dude can stand on his head and stop anything. But
absolutely. It's just frustrating that he doesn't play like that all the time. Like when he's on, he's one of the best goalies in the league, but it's a mental thing with him where he just some nights just doesn't have it, and it's so frustrating.
And he has to be in a two goalie situation. He cannot be the 1A, and it's very annoying, especially for the Bruins, who have to find a consistent backup like Halak or like Khudobin. They can't just have, someone.
You know what scares me too? I think Seattle's going to go after Halak.
For sure.
I think Seattle is going to go after Halak. I realistically do.
I think Halak's contract's up at the end of this year anyway, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Rask and Halak, both contracts are up at the end of this season.
Yeah, but there are a bunch of rumors that Rask is going to retire anyway.
Give me Yarrow. Give me Yarrow. Give me more Yarrow.
Well, if Rask retires, then the Bruins probably will bring Yarrow back.
Halak is older than Rask, though.
Yeah, Halak's been around a long time.
Give me the old man. I'll take the old man.
At least for a 2-year deal or something like that.
But so John, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Shannon.
Oh, you're good.
But me and you share that too. Rask needs to perform, or he's getting ripped.
Yeah.
John, do you? I think they. I mean, I've said it. I think they can. Shannon thinks. I think you think they can. They can get at it too if they, or at least get a shot.
They have a shot. I think I've said this on my channel. I think every team that gets into the playoffs has a shot. That's just the way the NHL playoffs are. We've seen 8 seeds win cups before. I mean, LA did it back in 2014. I mean, if you get into the playoffs, you have a shot. Matchups are everything in the NHL playoffs. Like again, Boston in 2019, because Tampa Bay and Washington got knocked out in the first round, that made the matchups the rest of the way so much easier, not having to deal with those two teams. If Boston comes in, I mean, they could be out in the first round. If they get the Islanders as their first round matchup, I think they're done right there. But if they come in and they play Philadelphia, that they should easily beat the Flyers. Then maybe they get Washington in the second round and they get out a hard-fought 7-game series win against Washington. Now you're down to the Final Four. Again, then matchups become everything. Are we playing Vegas? Are we playing Colorado? Are we playing Tampa Bay? God, I hope not.
Scares the crap out of me.
Yeah. I mean, there are some bad matchups there when you get down to the Final Four that I do not want to see. But what if we end up playing a team like, a team that was maybe a low seed heading into the playoffs, but just kind of squeaked their way through, like a Winnipeg Jets or someone like that? I think Boston could beat them. So now you're in the finals. And then again, who we have no idea who we're playing in the finals. It could be Tampa Bay. It could be Montreal. It could be any team that makes the playoffs from any of those other 3 divisions. So matchups are everything. They could win the cup this year. They could be out in the first round. And I think you could say that for most teams in the NHL. I think there are only a few that you would look at and go, all right, they're at least going to the second or third round at the very least, like Tampa being one of them. But for most teams in the league, I think, with the playoff format the way it is this year, it's completely up in the air and is going to completely depend on who they get as a matchup.
Yeah. We could do a whole show on like contender pretender, because there's I got a list of about 10 teams where it's like, no, they're in a soft division, and that's what's making them look really good. Newsflash, the Golden Knights is one of them. Sorry, Knights fans.
I also just don't trust Vegas in the playoffs.
They're a good team, but they're made to the division they're in is making them look a lot better than what they realistically are.
Yeah, I think you could say that about, well, it's weird this year because you're only playing within your division, so we don't know how they would look against the other top teams from other divisions. Toronto would not have 15 wins already if they were playing a regular schedule and not just in the North. I don't think Toronto would be this good if they were playing Tampa Bay and they were playing Boston and they were playing, teams that they normally play like that. I don't think Toronto would have 15 wins already.
Yeah. But once again, though, lady and gentlemen, I appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on, guys. Hopefully our Bruins can they seem to be back on the right track and yeah. Knock on wood. Yeah. Get a piece of wood, find it, and yeah. Seriously.
One good game. We'll see if they can back it up with another Wednesday.
Well, hopefully it propels them back into the right track.
Definitely hoping for that. And
they can. We just got to make it through the injuries. Just get through. Get everybody back, and then we'll, end the season. End it strong and head into the playoffs with some momentum. But it's looking good. Geez. We're good. Okay. It's looking good so far. I'm pleasantly surprised with how well the young kids have played because I expected them to be good and compete, but they're playing, give and taking everything into context in the way, the way this season has gone and just the adversity that they've having to start this many young kids. And I think they've done well for what's been thrown at them.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, again, like if you told me at the 19 game mark, they'd be 12-5-2, I'd be like, all right, sign me up. I'm in. 12-5-2 is good for me. I mean, again, this team, it's not going to be a perfect season. They're going to go through stretches where things don't go well and maybe they lose some bad games or, they get blown out twice in a row like they did this past week. But at the end of the day, I still think we're looking at a really good hockey team, a team that will definitely be in the playoffs and a team that's done well given the circumstances that they've had to deal with this year.
No, 100% agree. What do you got, Shannon?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with all of the sentiments you've made. I think, like I said, they are extremely overperforming where I expected to begin with. I think that the young guys that have really stepped up, like Carlo and McAvoy, are really making a huge impact in where we are right now, both in record and where we are looking in terms of confidence moving forward. I don't think that these young guys moving up either from Providence or the taxi squad as they swap back and forth would be as confident on the ice if it weren't for guys like that. So I think that they are really the key to our success moving forward. And if either of those gets hurt, then we're really screwed.
Yeah. So my guy over here, John, has both of these guests I've had on today have YouTube channels. Slapshot Sweethearts is on YouTube as well. He is Off the Wall Hockey. John, now tell them a little bit about your channel and where they can get at you on Twitter or social media or YouTube.
So my channel's Off the Wall Hockey. On Twitter, it's at Off the Wall Hawk, just without the EY at the end of hockey. And I have a Facebook page too, if you still use Facebook, which not that many people still do, but you can just search Off the Wall Hockey. It should come right up. And obviously YouTube is the big thing. And I do pretty much daily content covering the entire NHL. I am a Bruins fan, but I cover the whole league on my channel. And I do a lot of live streams where I call play-by-play during the games. And I do that for like all different NHL teams and stuff, whatever game's on that night. So it's a lot of fun. And hopefully some people want to join in. And we always have a great time in the chat.
It is. There's you cover the entirety of the league. You do every team, every as many games as you can, different teams.
Yep.
But as you can see from the Spoked Bee in the background, he is a member of Bruins Nation.
Yes.
So we're good. Shannon, where can they get at you guys for Slapshot Sweethearts?
Yeah, so we're on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Like John said, if you still use Facebook, we recently hopped on there. If you just search Slapshot Sweethearts, we will come up. I put our Twitter handle in my name, so S Sweethearts Pod. We are quickly growing on Twitter and YouTube, so highly appreciate those. In terms of our content, we post regular recorded episodes with guests every week on YouTube, and then we also do at least one live stream a week where we have different podcasts from either Bruins Nation or other sports teams hop on every period. We'll swap out and have a different podcast hop on. So it's pretty good 3 hours. It's pretty consistent content.
The one that you guys did, sorry to interrupt you. The one that you guys did with Dale Arnold was awesome. That was great. Dale was awesome.
It was still
that was a good interview.
I recommend you check it out because he does have a lot of interesting takes on Chara leaving, Krug leaving, which prospects we should be looking at and which ones we shouldn't be, which is really relevant right now as we swap back and forth from the taxi squad and not. So recommend you check that out on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, no, that is if you guys, and where are you guys at for subscribers?
We just hit 210 today.
Boom. So, yes.
Yes. Thank you to both of you because you shouted out.
I got at least 10 of you in here. If you're not subscribed to this
sub
channel,
up. 250.
Right,
let's go. 250.
Leave the chat right now and go do that and then come back. And this guy as well. If you don't have Off the Wall Hockey, one thing we all share is we're fans of the game, not just we're Bruins fans. But I like, even if the Bruins get knocked out, I'm still gonna watch. Like, I'm a fan of the game. The game of hockey is just awesome.
But yeah, my co-host is not a Bruins fan, so we cover a variety of different teams.
Yeah, Megan is a Pens fan, right?
Megan is a loose fan of many teams. She is obviously a Penguins fan because that was the one she grew up with, but she loves the Golden Knights because of Marc-Andre Fleury. We both went to college in Washington, D.C., so we're both like casual Capitals fans.
There you go.
And then she is very excited for the Kraken, as we all are. So, she looks to many different teams.
But you guys also cover the entirety of the NHL, right?
Yeah, we lean a little bit heavily into the East Division just because that's where most of our knowledge is. But we've done live streams for every division so far.
Yeah. So once again, you guys, if you're not subscribed to this channel, Slapshot Sweethearts, go and do that. Like now. Right now. It's greatly appreciated. But once again, guys, Megan and John, thanks for hanging out with me and talking some Bruins. Appreciate the time. Hopefully, like I said, we can hold it together and get some momentum rolling and get the cup back in Boston. And by that time, we can actually go to the parades because I miss being drunk at a celebration parade. It's been too long since that's happened.
I went to the parade in 2011. Yeah, 2011, but I was a freshman in high school, so I think I'd have a little bit more fun this time around.
I've only been to parades in DC, so I've seen the Nationals, I've seen the Capitals, but I've never been to a Boston parade.
So the first 5 hours, or what I remember of the Bruins, it was incredible. I want that again.
The Capitals one was incredible. The Nationals one was pretty horrible.
The city of Boston needs that again.
Yeah, absolutely. So if the Bruins win, are we all going to the parade and teaming up there and hanging out?
Yes, yes.
All right, I'm in.
You're like, dude, I know you live close to me.
We're not that far, yeah.
I am probably 20 minutes from you.
Perfect.
I guarantee it. We're going, and yeah, there some adult beverages are going to be involved. We'll put Shannon up on the way if we have to.
I can make my way up there. I'll find a place to stay.
Oh, perfect. I'll get the Pink Whitney ready.
To a hotel, it'll be fine. Adult beverages will be involved. But thanks again to you both for hanging out with me. Much appreciated.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Hey, HTH coming in right at the end. What's up?
What a legend. What a legend.
That is a legend right there. HTH is a legend. He's the man. John is the man.
I got to say hi to him in the chat. Oh, Perlo's here too. Another legend. Here we go. Awesome.
But once again, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for talking some Bruins. Hopefully our team can keep the momentum up. We can keep rolling, and we can get, like I said, we can get that cup back in Boston.
Yeah, I hope so.
Tampa Bay, you're just holding on to it temporarily, you schmucks.
Hopefully Tampa gets knocked out early so we don't have to play them.
So we don't have to steal your cup from you. But thanks a lot, guys. We appreciate all the support. Once again, please do me a favor. Go and support Off the Wall Hockey and Slapshot Sweethearts. Especially Slapshot Sweethearts. They're just getting started. And I know building from the ground up is, we've all, John, it's tough when building
Oh
that,
yeah,
building that base, the base and
it's
the
a
core,
process.
that core group of people that you want around the channel it's clutch, and it's tough to build a core group of people that you want supporting the channel. So go and subscribe to them and support both of those channels, guys. They both deserve it. John and Megan and Shannon, you guys put out phenomenal content. John, the play-by-play that you put out is awesome, man.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's very, very good. See, I know my teams. I know the Bruins, and I know enough about the NHL. I know enough. I know the Bruins, and I know enough about the NHL as a whole to be dangerous. But you guys far outweigh my knowledge of the rest of the league.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of time on Twitter, man.
It is. It takes a lot of time to get to know everybody and stuff. Yeah.
Like I said, I know my team, but like you guys know the rest of the league, and that's all the credit in the world to you, because that's too much for my 35-year-old brain to handle. But I appreciate the time, guys. Once again, thank you for coming on and joining. And please, guys, go subscribe to both of these channels. They put out phenomenal content. And if you're a fan of the game of hockey, you are doing yourself a favor. We appreciate y'all. For me, the cat who is passed out on the couch over there. I might hold on.
Oh yes.
Come here.
Cat's coming on.
Giving cat cam. I get crap for it every time. So come here, big guy. Oh, I know I just woke you up. Come here. Look at the sleepy face.
Oh yeah, he just got woken up for sure. That's me in the morning at like 8 a.m. when I'm like, I do not want to get up.
But we appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you for everything that you've done for my channel. And if you support me, please go and support these other two channels. But we appreciate y'all. I'm going to get me some Mexican food.
Hey.
And we're out of here. Appreciate the support, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Wherever you are, go Bruins, and we're gone.